Live from our studios in Austin, Texas, this is Drinkin' Bros Fake News with Ross Patterson, Dan Holloway, Papa G with the traffic,
How you feel?
Not good.
Yeah?
field reporter Hot Bob, and Delco Dan with sports. Welcome to Fake News.
Yeah, welcome to Drinkin' Bros Fake News, everybody. We're live in Arizona from the Super Bowl. We're inside our Airbnb right now. It's chilly in the morn here, but a little warmer in the afternoon. So if you flop on over to sports, you'll see we'll be outdoors for most of those shows. Inside in the morn, because it's still the morn here, D'Anthony.
It's the morn.
It's the morn. It's the morning time here.
Yeah.
And on Patreon, by the way, I've talked about this on another show. We don't read too many, I don't at least read comments very often. On Patreon, it's different because we know most of you guys. Everybody's still talking about that Sheriff Joe show that we did. It's still on the charts, which days later is highly unusual.
Yeah. It shows you how fucked the Apple charts are too, by the way, because our show is down to 150th right now or something, but we have 3 episodes in the top 100.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
No,
it's not
no,
based
no.
on like viewers or anything.
No, and we're one of like 4 shows I think that does it. But one of the comments that just came in on Patreon said, "What a wild episode with Sheriff Joe. I'm up here in Springfield," and he says, "Thanks, boys. Gerard, a.k.a. the Victorian Hobo." Now, I'm a huge fan of that name, and I don't know if that's a username or just his nickname in real life.
Well, I mean, like Victorian from the Victorian period of England?
I'm trying to figure out all of it. Or in Springfield, Mass., is there a Victoria village or land or something like that?
I don't know. Victorian's a style of architecture as well, so maybe he hangs out outside of Victorian fucking buildings.
Maybe.
Who knows? Retard Jimmy, though.
Yeah, Retard Jimmy is another thing we've been working on. Are we keeping that close to the vest, or are we letting people in on it?
That was a teaser.
Oh, okay.
I guess, yeah.
Okay. I think we should do that show tomorrow. We've been out of control this week, and I think the Retard Jimmy show should be tomorrow, and that's something we're working on. It's more of a reality show.
Yeah.
It's for, what would you say, Discovery Plus?
Maybe HGTV or
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Bravo. Yeah, one of those,
they merged with Discovery Plus. I think it's whatever the opposite of Chip and Joanna are doing, and it's with a character named Retard Jimmy.
Oh, here we have it again. Nathaniel Atios in the chat says, "It's the insult y'all said to the couple on the Patreon Christmas special when they were drinking gin straight. You called them Victorian hobos." Because nobody fucking drinks gin. Only poor people drink gin.
Well, that's not true. That's not true. I think Ryan Reynolds just sold his gin company for what, $400 million.
Yeah, I guarantee you he didn't drink one glass of that shit.
Nobody drinks gin. It's
gross.
No one out there. I don't even know how that sale was real. I still haven't seen a bottle of it in real life, by the way.
I've seen Aviator.
Have you?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. But good for you. Title of the show is Transurrection, which might be one of our finest here. If you haven't heard, kids, there was a transgender insurrection this week in Oklahoma. This happened at the Oklahoma State Capitol by transgender rights activists, which sparked an online debate about whether or not the demonstration is comparable to the January 6th U.S. Capitol insurrection by Trump supporters. Now, according to the Oklahoma Daily, around 150 people entered the building on Monday protesting 2 bills introduced to state senates that would restrict gender-related health care. Many sported trans flags and held placards that carried the phrases including, "We are not a threat, so stop making us a target," and "Stop healthcare bans on trans."
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
footage taken by Nick Camper, a reporter for local news channel K4, KFOR, shows activists chanting Trans Lives Matter in the main atrium of the Capitol. And other clips, they can be seen shouting, protect trans kids, and we are Oklahoma, which is
I don't
strange to
know.
me.
That's a weird one.
Yeah. First of all, trans kids shouldn't be a phrase.
That's not a thing. I don't think that trans anything is a real thing. That's nonsense. Right.
But trans kids.
Well, that's just predatory. So it's like one of their banners reads, "We are not a threat, so stop making us a target." Okay, cool. Well, let's negotiate.
Yeah.
Stop trying to cut kids' dicks and tits off. The end. You can do whatever you want. You can mangle your fucking body however you want.
Yeah.
But here's two things that aren't going to happen. You're not going to fuck with kids, and we're not going to persist in your fucking delusion. Seems reasonable.
The end on that one.
Yeah. Big time, yeah. Like if somebody was like, there are people out there that still believe that Elvis is alive, right? And if they were required, like they're trying to pass laws to make you accept that as well.
Yes.
That's what this is. This is fucking nonsense. Shut the fuck up. Now, to the question posed in the original paragraph, which is this similar to the quote-unquote insurrection on January 6th? The answer is yes, because neither one of them is really that big a deal.
No.
This is nonsense. It's not an insurrection. It's a fucking protest. Shut the fuck up. Let people out of jail, and maybe put some FBI people in jail because they're the ones that caused the whole goddamn thing.
Now, in me personally, I don't give a fuck about protests. The trans kids thing is the only ones I
didn't
have
care
an issue with it.
during the Roe v. Wade thing when the fucking feminist people stormed the Senate, the Hart Senate building.
Me neither.
They occupied it and fucking protested. I don't give a shit.
Me neither.
Because during the civil rights movement, people would go into colleges and state houses and courthouses and shit and sit down and refuse to leave. Don't care.
Me neither.
Don't care. I mean, I care about justice and things like that, and I don't want people to get hurt. But I'm not going to pretend like action against the state to try to protect somebody's rights is somehow a bad thing. Fuck you, because that's exactly what this country's all about.
The other part too is we all pay taxes, and
Wow.
if we most of us vote, right? So with that, if you're not happy with the people you voted in and want to go protest inside their buildings or whatever, I don't really have an issue with it. We're paying for the goddamn buildings themselves. It's us. It's not them. The only issue I have is the trans kids things. And then on the other side, as far as the left goes, let's not pretend that Trump supporters were the only bad people who stormed a government building. It's happened a bunch of fucking times,
Yeah.
including this week. Sorry it wasn't the cause you liked, but chances are you don't really like this cause either. I don't know if you saw Matt Walsh's Instagram today.
I don't watch anything he does. He's a fucking idiot.
Okay, so with that, he came in front of Congress, and one of the good things he did was he tried to get one of them to answer if you should be able to do surgeries, perform surgeries on kids under the age of 16, and not one Democrat would answer the question.
Sure, yeah.
They moved on and they said, we're asking you the questions. You don't get to ask any questions, which I find to be bullshit. So with that, that's the only problem I have with this story. Other than that, fuck off with it. You know what I'm saying? We pay for this shit. If you're not happy about it, you're not doing a great job, well, chances are bad shit's going to happen. We saw this in New Jersey this week. What is it? 2 city council members have now been murdered there?
Yeah, 2 Republican city councilors in different parts of the state have been assassinated this week, which is kind of weird.
Super strange. We got a bunch of DMs asking us to chat about it, but this story is kind of developing. Before we got on air, I said, hey, it would be very odd if these two weren't related, being in the same state, because this doesn't happen very often at all.
January 6th. Somebody just posted
January 6th?
And that's good.
Okay, I like that.
I like that because it was on February 6th.
Oh, a big fan of that. Yeah.
Anyways.
January 6th is a good one. And then as far as people who still think Elvis is still alive, Giorgio raised his hands. Look, I think there's a lot of us out there regarding Elvis who have suspicious minds about it.
Ha 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 ha!
I'm
you
not
clearly weren't listening to Joe yesterday.
Who?
He was told us Elvis is still alive.
Who said that?
Arpaio, yeah.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't hear that.
Elvis is hiding underneath Obama's long form birth certificate.
Oh, well, yeah, the one with the kitten paw.
Yeah.
The cat paw on it.
I still don't think he understands what's happening.
No, I don't either. And if you're still going back to listen to that show, I highly recommend it. It was completely out of control.
Now, I'm not entirely sure, like the kid thing and this, obviously, you know my opinion on that, but the protest itself, I'm not sure is in error because it's in response to Senate Bill 129 in Oklahoma, which would ban gender reassignment surgery for anybody under 26 years of age. And Senate Bill 122, which would prohibit people under the age of 18 from undergoing medical treatment for gender reassignment. Now, the latter one I agree with. You're not an adult yet, legally speaking, until you're 18. So you shouldn't be getting your dick and tits cut off. But if you're fucking 25 years old, that's none of the government's business.
Right.
I don't, like, you either believe in small government or you don't. So if you're one of these conservatives that when you agree with it, when it's okay for the fucking government to step in, for the state to step in and leverage their authority against private citizens doing what they want, then you're not a conservative, you're a cunt, frankly, right? And that's what Matt Walsh is. Because for the last month now, he's been pining for the same kind of criminal justice system that Singapore has, where people get put to death for small crimes and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. He's a fucking piece of shit. But he is right about some things.
Some things. And then as far as the age thing is, I agree with you 100% on that. If you're 26 years old, you're a fucking grown up. You want to cut off your fucking arms on top of your dick? Go ahead and do that as well. Nobody's stopping you. And at 26 years old, your brain is fully formed. You're a goddamn adult, and hopefully you make your own living in this world. So do whatever the fuck you want at that point. I'm sure Giorgio does some weird shit, but
somebody in the chat says Hot Bob was in Oklahoma.
Oh, right now?
Was there a spotting?
Was there a Hot Bob spotting? Do we know?
Yeah, you guys look through the coverage of that whole insurrection in Oklahoma City and see if you find Bob walking around.
What if Bob was our George Santos here for the network?
Oh, he's like straight up fucking in drag up there, pretending like his kid's sick so he can go protest at the Capitol.
Singing Oklahoma. He's over there. What if they just broke out in song for Oklahoma out there? I mean, it'd be on the nose, but I like it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so it's not. I don't think they would be good at it. Have you seen these people?
No.
Like old school gay dudes would.
Yeah.
Right? But not these fucking dudes pretending to be women. That's
you
not
get some real hard Stonewall motherfuckers up there,
Yeah.
like, then shit's rad. But these guys, not a prayer. Is Bob alive, by the way? People are asking. No idea. Delco doesn't know. It's his co-host on Softcore. What was it, last night when we left? You were just doing Softcore history with strangers outside.
Yeah, it was just me, Giorgio,
Oh, did Giorgio hop on last night?
and Jake.
That's great.
What was the theme?
Yeah, what'd you guys have?
Roswell.
Oh, New Mexico.
About how bad Roswell sucks, yeah.
No.
Because it does
Mostly.
suck.
I
Great
was
city.
there in body and kind of in spirit. Sort of.
Sure. Beautiful city, Roswell, New Mexico. Spent a lot of time there. By a lot of time, I mean 7 full days. And that's a lot of time in Roswell, New Mexico. Felt like a lifetime, friend. Next up, the State of the Union is, well, it's dementia. The State of the Union rarely previews big battles in Congress. Tuesday night's row between President Joe Biden and the GOP lawmakers may prove to be an exception. Biden's speech began as a promise to play nice with the newly empowered House Republicans, but then things went stunningly off script there as GOP jeering escalated throughout the roughly 75 minutes, drowning out some of the president's biggest moments on Adderall. Sorry, I added that myself. And foreshadowing a long 2 years to come under divided governments. By the end, the GOP's heckling from secure the border chants to bullshit, which is one of my favorites at every NFL and or college game, broke out. And it marked an ominous start for Biden and Speaker Kevin McCarthy's high-stakes partnership this year.
But it's a TV show that people are finished watching. I think, right? Like, I really feel like people don't give a fuck about any of this anymore. They're like, oh, there's Skeletor, Marjorie Taylor Greene, dressed like a fucking clown, talking shit, and then Lauren Boebert, who just graduated high school in her 30s 10 minutes ago, running their fucking suckholes, and then this guy with literal vascular dementia just blah, 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 blah. And it's easy to theorize that people might not give a shit or they're tuned out of it, but it's actually the Nielsen ratings are helping us. So I don't think anybody gives a shit about this circus or these clowns, and it's backed up by the data. So the State of the Union address this week had the lowest amount of viewers in 30 years.
Wow.
Down 30% from last year.
Okay.
CNN, with only 2.4 million viewers, suffered the biggest decline compared to a year ago, losing about half of its total audience. So what does that tell you? It tells me that it isn't Republicans tuning out from this because Fox led the ratings again.
Yep.
Right? It tells me that liberals are tired of this demented old turd and they want somebody else there. That's what it tells me.
Yeah, and as I'm looking at the numbers here, so the total estimated viewers here was 27.3 million. To put that in perspective, and that's across, what, I believe 12 networks at that point. You're looking at CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox, CNN,
MSNBC,
Fox News, MSNBC, all those other guys. For one Monday Night Football game, the last Monday Night Football game of the year, you were around 28 million for one network, and that was ESPN. So if people are tuning in for a Monday Night Football game versus the State of the Union here on 12 different networks, you're done. With all of this shit, though, what I'm finding more and more, I don't know if you are as well, is I think people are checking out of politics altogether. I think it's genuinely both sides. Yes, you have this old fuck in there with dementia who nobody really respects, and he's not doing a lot. The Chinese spy balloon bullshit didn't help him either, obviously, when he just let that thing sail across the United States. Especially when you had a president there that was very aggressive in the last term, which is blowing people up. That thing would have been gone from the goddamn sky in 10 seconds, and he probably would have done it himself. But with that, you're heading into this era now of politics where you're starting to talk about more things that we talked about yesterday with the kiss between Kamala's husband and Joe Biden. You're starting to talk about outfits worn. We're starting to get into an NBA level type of game of politics here where people care more about the craziness that's going on in the outfit selection versus actual politics these days. And to your point about Boebert and those guys, like, look, Boebert's going to get the headlines because she's hot. AOC, same thing. But whether you want to admit it or not, there is a huge segment of people who find both of them attractive.
Oh, no, I saw it. She was at SHOT Show walking around, and everybody, look, that's not the crowd that has the fucking highest IQ either, frankly.
But it's nothing about IQ. It's eye candy. And I think that's where we're kind of headed in all of this of who can be most famous, who can be most popular, who can cause a stir, who can get a moment on social media. It's starting to feel, politics is starting to feel like the Met Gala to me, where we're more concerned with who's going to show up in a fucking Grimace costume and rather than who's going to actually fix our country.
Well, I mean, here's a good exercise. Close your eyes and listen to what people are saying. Forget about all the fucking sleight of hand and the appearance and all that bullshit. Do the things they say make sense?
The politicians themselves?
Yes. The answer will be no. They're all fucking stupid bitches that have no fucking, absolutely no business being in charge of anything, much less other people. And that's how we've gotten to where we are right now, because they are incompetent and they know they're incompetent. And that's why these unelected bureaucrats persist across 4 or 5 different fucking presidents, right? And they gain insane amounts of power because they're the only ones there who actually, quote unquote, know how it works.
Right.
So the politicians just do whatever they fucking tell them to do. We don't have a representative democracy anymore in this republic. That's not a thing anymore. We have a fucking, it's just a goddamn clown show. It's an absolute clown show.
It is, and they don't give a fuck about us. Last night I was at a dinner with some higher up finance people, right? And I was asking them about who's in office and what, and they don't really give a shit of who is presidents. They more or less care about American people and being able to afford housing and things like that. And I said, well, what's your biggest takeaway from what's going on now, and what are you guys worried about the future financially for all of us? And the most stunning thing they said last night was what's going on now with record inflation and all this other shit, and the Fed's hiking these rates and all of it, is that it is going to divide the rich from the poor, and there will be no middle class if this keeps going on very soon. And he goes, I wish politicians were talking about that versus one side or the other and everything else.
Politicians are doing this on purpose.
No, I understand that. But if they were doing this to help American citizens, that's what they should be concerned about. But they're not. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, they're. It's not that they're not concerned about American citizens. It's that they're trying actively to fuck over American citizens.
Yes, and that's what they felt that all of this seemed like. Of like, what is the end goal for all of this? And it's divide and conquer is what they said essentially. Of like, you're gonna have super rich and you're gonna have poor. And if you think people are bitching about it now on social media and online, it's gonna get worse. And that was my biggest takeaway from last night. And they were like, we don't really give a fuck who's in there. But you got to start electing people who can actually get things done for average citizens and not themselves, or you're all fucked.
Well, talking about getting things done, let's go ahead into what I think is the biggest story of the year.
Okay.
It might be the biggest story of our lifetime,
okay,
to be honest. So the United States government bombed Nord Stream 2.
And we have actual confirmation and proof of this.
So I'll read this story. The bombing of Nord Stream underwater gas pipelines in the Baltic Sea was a covert operation ordered by the White House and carried out by the CIA. A report by a veteran investigative journalist claims, one of the most respected journalists in the history of this country, Seymour Hersh. Right?
Pulitzer Prize winner.
Yeah, multiple Pulitzer Prize winners, yeah. He claimed that the U.S. deep sea divers, using a NATO military exercises cover, which we remember we talked about at the time, planted mines along the pipelines that were later detonated remotely. Now, in September, a series of powerful explosions destroyed the Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines that run through the Baltic Sea from Russia to Germany, and they provide cheap gas to mainland Europe, primarily natural gas. That's what they send. And that was after Germany had started shutting off their nuclear power plants. They just demolished another one this past week. That was their primary source of energy. So we blew up Europe's main source of energy.
Yes.
The CIA did that, right? Now, the attack was soon received to have been a deliberate act, but no culprit was identified. The American government accused Russia of doing it, but everybody, I think, knew that it was the United States that did it, I think.
Well, when you and I covered this story on the show, how many months ago was this?
Six
or
months?
seven,
It was in September when it happened.
Yeah, 6 or 7 months ago. When you and I covered this story, I thought it was Russia. And I thought they were trying to fuck over the rest of Europe by saying, hey, if you're thinking about joining the war on Ukraine's side, think again, because we could shut off your fucking energy real goddamn quick.
Yeah, but they could do that anyway just by fucking flipping a switch. They don't have to blow up their own pipeline to do that.
Yes, but by blowing up the pipeline, it kind of left it open to interpretation. Now, what that interpretation was, we didn't know until today.
Yeah.
So he's confirming this, essentially, is what you're saying?
Yeah, he has multiple reports from people from the agency, people that were involved in the operation. It was called BALT Ops, BALTOPS 22. That was the name of the operation.
Okay.
What do you call it? The NATO exercise. And there's a 5,000 word report. You can look up Seymour Hersh's Substack. It's called How America Took Out the Nord Stream 2, or took out the Nord Stream. It's easy to find. I'm not going to read the whole thing here. Go do your own fucking research on this. But I've read the entire fucking thing, and I've read 2 more reports from other people that are independently confirming what he's saying. So just to be clear, I want to recap this and make sure we're saying this in as plain English as possible. Leading up to this conflict between Russia and Ukraine, 2 things went down. One is the Russians and Ukrainians appeared to have some kind of negotiation plan, right, to stop the conflict from happening in the first place, and NATO and the United States undercut that plan. That's what we know. Now we know that the U.S. also used military operators to bomb the goddamn pipeline. This is a black flag operation, right? Like you thought it's a fucking conspiracy theory. They would never do that. Well, we know they did. The FBI fucker was planting bombs down in Florida, right?
Yeah.
So we could go attack Cuba and shit like that. We know that they do this shit all the time. And here they are caught fucking again.
So what is the purpose of this?
I don't know.
And that's what I'm trying to figure out. And this is what I was trying to figure out 6 or 7 months ago when we first talked about this on this show. What is the actual purpose? Because if Europe knew that it was the United States right away, that would have triggered a world war from Europe to us, one would imagine, right?
No, the Europe is weak. They don't have. To me, this is probably to make Europe dependent on us instead of Russia. So they would play. So they would agree. Because remember, Germany didn't want to get involved in this at all. They didn't want to send the military. They didn't want to send tanks. Germany's been notoriously absent with regard to spending the allotted amount of their GDP on NATO and things like that. And the United States has been pressuring and bitching, blah, 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 for fucking 10 years about it now. So this, to me, is just putting Germany in a bad situation where they have to come back to us and be reliant on us. This is international terrorism conducted by the United States government. That's what that is. So Joe Biden, all the fucking commanders in the military right now, they are fucking guilty of international terrorism. That is exactly what the fuck this is.
So from a Russia standpoint, I'm sure that they have access to the same information that we do. If you're looking at this from a Russian standpoint, how is this not an act of war from the United States towards them?
Everything we've done since this conflict started was a fucking act of war. Right? I've made this point many times before. I don't agree with Russia invading Ukraine. I didn't agree with the United States invading Iraq either, right? But if Russia had started supplying fucking money and weapons to Iraq while we were deployed there, that would be an act of war. We would consider it an act of war. And that's exactly what we're fucking doing right now.
The other part that I find odd to this is today it was announced that Russia is amassing 1,800 tanks, 700 aircraft, and an additional 500,000 men for a new assault in 10 days. Is this in response to this? Or is this are we the only ones that are kind of talking about this right now? Because I don't see, by the way, I don't see this story anywhere.
Oh, it's not going to be in the mainstream news. And here's why. The people who cover the Pentagon, the people who cover the White House, the people who cover the intelligence community, if they challenge their fucking, the people they're asking questions to, the Pentagon, the Joint Chiefs, the Secretary of Defense and all this stuff, if they challenge the DNI, the CIA on any of this stuff, then the CIA, those agencies will fucking remove their access and they will lose their jobs as journalists, right?
Got it.
That's why they won't do it. To me, it's fucking cowardice, frankly. Like, go do your job.
So what's the end game in all of this? You know, because even with Germany, today they're suggesting a return to conscription. Like, what's going to happen with this entire conflict? Because clearly we're in war. Some people are asking today, there was some news outlets that were asking today if we were just already late to World War III at this point. Like, where do we go from here?
Well, here's
with all this information coming out?
You this is the next story, but you mentioned it already. Russia is amassing about 200,000 to 300,000 additional troops right now. They've already got 500,000 people in Ukraine right now. They're getting ready to send 200,000 to 300,000 more into Ukraine, including 1,800 tanks, about 4,000 armored personnel carriers, 400 fighter jets, 300 attack helicopters, so on and so forth. I think 2,700 artillery guns and a bunch of rocket launchers and other bullshit. This is all, in 10 days, this is all getting sent into Ukraine again. And I guess the question is, what exactly would Russia, I mean, look, the U.S. has been tiptoeing around war here for this entire time. I wonder what it would take for us to actually start fighting. Right. Here's what I know: 101st Airborne Unit right now is getting stood up on orders to deploy to Ukraine.
Okay.
And so is a Special Forces unit right now.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because there was an Uber driver who listened to the show who asked me to ask you this the other night, and I said I would. He said, "Ask Dan this: if one boot from a U.S. soldier hits that soil, is that it? And then we're in World War III?"
Yeah, that's exactly how Vietnam started. But there are American boots in Ukraine right now.
On the ground?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Military assets.
Because he was asking an older gentleman who was driving me, and he said, "Ask Dan, you'll know." And I go, "Why wouldn't I know?" And he goes, "Well, you seem pretty dumb half the time." And I'm like, and that's not true.
Well, he and Sheriff Joe agree on that, apparently.
But that's what it will take.
It'll be, honestly, I think 3 or 4 years from now, we'll be in a ground war in Ukraine against Russia, yeah.
In 3 or 4 years?
Yeah.
So this whole conflict's going to drag out another 3 to 4 years before we actually get involved and we're in a World War III.
100%.
Just hearing that out loud right now, I would say earlier, simply because I don't think let's say DeSantis got in, right, in 2024, which I think he will. If he did, I I don't see him wanting to hop into this shit in 3 to 4 years.
That's not how it works. I mean, JFK didn't want to hop into it either, right? It started with fucking under Nixon with 800 dudes, I think.
Okay.
And then by the time JFK was assassinated, it had already gotten up to 15,000 troops in country, even though he was actively trying to fight it. And then, by the time LBJ was there, it was like 350,000 people. So things happen they happen slow. There's a slow build and then rapid. It grows rapidly right at the end before it fucking contracts again. Okay. That's usually how these things go. So to be honest, I think DeSantis is a globalist. Like he's fucking all the same people that donate money to all these other Republican rhino cunts. He's getting money from them right now. Look at the fucking news. He's getting money from the same people. What do you think he's going to say? Like, oh, no, I'm not doing that, even though you gave me money. No, that's how fucking American politics works. Rooting for fucking politicians is like rooting for the motherfucking umpire. You have to be a fucking dumb sap to do that shit.
It's not that I'm rooting for politicians. I'm just looking at what is most likely to happen and trying to figure out if there is a way out of this. Because, look, you were in one for, a war that lasted 20 years, right? Mm-hmm. I don't want to see this in my fucking lifetime, especially for two countries that, frankly, I don't give a shit about.
Yep.
So I'm just looking for ways or people who could potentially avoid this.
The only person that would fucking avoid it is Donald Trump, frankly.
And why do you say that?
Because he doesn't give a fuck about anybody else.
Except for money.
Well, he doesn't care about money either. I mean, he cares about his personal finances, obviously. But for him, he's got an idea of what the world should be and what America should be, and that's what he's going to do regardless of who pressures him on it. And you know that because his entire party is anti-fucking mandates and don't like this fucking vaccine, and he's out there on the stump still taking credit for that shit, right?
Yeah.
That's how you know he doesn't give a fuck about any of this other stuff. DeSantis isn't like that. He's a politician, right? It is what it is. It's not like that I just dislike the guy out of pocket, but he's a politician and he will do politician shit. If DeSantis gets elected, we'll be at war with Russia, in my opinion.
Because it's good for our country financially?
No, because that's just how the fucking war machine operates, and he wouldn't be strong. There's a lot of sacrifice involved in saying no to these people. And usually what it means is not getting a second term in office. That's what happened to Trump.
So with Trump, let's say he got in there. Do you think he would just walk away from this and be like, hey, that's somebody else's fight. I don't give a shit.
I think he would immediately end all fucking money going there. Yes.
Okay.
That's what I've heard behind the scenes. Yeah.
Well, it could be the best option then.
That's the only option, in my opinion. The other option is war, and it's sometime in the next 2 years we're going to start seeing American troops die there, right?
Over another... Mm-hmm.
Over some people that I don't give two fucks about.
Me neither. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Sponsor-wise, first up is our title sponsor who puts this shit wagon on the air day in and day out. That is ghostbed.com/drinking bros. Love you guys. We miss it on the road here. Wish we could take the goddamn mattresses and the pillows straight to the Airbnbs. Not that it's not lovely. It's just not a ghost bed.
Well, actually, I did bring my pillow.
Did you really?
Fuck yeah, I did.
You fucker.
I bought a bigger suitcase just so my pillow will fit in it whenever I go place. I'm not even kidding.
No, I don't doubt you.
I fucking love that pillow.
You're the most prepared traveler of all time, and I'm the least, I think.
Yeah, you're basically retarded.
Borderline.
Yeah.
Borderline. It's up in the air. It's real questionable at this point. But there should be no question when it comes to mattresses who the best in the biz is, and that's Ghost Bed. Right now, they're giving you 30% off a mattress and 2 free luxury pillows when you order. Also, you want to pop in that promo code Drinkin Bros at checkout. You get 30% off everything in the entire store. The sheets are amazing. Highly recommend the sheets. The cover, if you got kids who are hopping on the beds and... or you and your wife or I don't know, George Santos are doing butt stuff with your lovers, that cover is going to protect that nice white mattress. Now, the weighted blanket I don't have, but everybody loves the goddamn thing. And some people were asking me about the new 3D Matrix mattress. And yes, that is, you can get that for 30% off as well. You can also put it in a bundle package and get 40% off. If you get that adjustable base, dog, that adjustable base is amazing. Comes with a super sleek remote control. And if your loved one goes to sleep or wants to stay up longer than you, It'll come with a split king if you order that option, and you get 2 remote controls on that. Now, when you check out, at the bottom of the page, you're going to see a 60-month pay-as-you-go program, no interest, as long as you have decent credit at ghostbed.com/Drinkin Bros. When you check that box, all the deals that I mentioned are applicable with that, and you, my friends, can walk out of there with a brand new bedroom set for about $25 a month. Head on over to ghostbed.com/Drinkin Bros today. Next up, Russia is planning a massive assault. So as you know, we were talking about it and going through the numbers with all of this stuff. I wanted to get in deeper to some of these numbers here with you. So you mentioned the 500,000 soldiers. How many do we have in the Iraq War, for example?
That's good. I think 350,000 was the most we had in country at any time.
Okay, and what's the country size of Iraq compared to Ukraine?
Square mileage, I have no idea. They're probably pretty similar, though.
Okay.
Ukraine's
I'm
not
just
huge.
looking at it geographically on a map there.
Ukraine is huge. It's like the second biggest country in Europe.
Yeah, but it's about the size of Texas, right? Didn't we say that it was like 30 million people? Or
Oh, that's
35 million?
population-wise.
Yeah,
yeah.
I
population
meant
wise.
land-wise, yeah.
No, I don't know about that. Hold on, let me look.
But with that, you know, as we were looking at all these numbers here, going through, why is Russia having so much trouble getting through here if they have 500,000 people trying to roll into that country?
Well, because they're incompetent. They're not good at fighting war.
So they just don't have proper leadership?
No, it's they're not good at fight. Well, yeah, I guess that's part of it. They just don't know how to strategically fucking fight wars. They don't know how to do just classic fucking war maneuvers like pincer maneuvers or the ability to, like, do you remember at the outset of the war, they were all over the country. That's not how you fight a fucking war. Like, yeah, you send sorties and special forces to attack key military installations and knock out maybe power, although it's not necessary to do that, but knock out missile batteries and things like that around certain areas. But primarily, you want to fucking push your main force through a country, right, from east, west, west, east, north, south, whatever it is, but like maintain your force, because by doing that, you're maintaining your supply lines as well. And they haven't done any of that shit. They've been all over the fucking place. So to be honest, I don't know if it's on purpose, if this is all just a charade, or if they're truly that incompetent. My gut tells me they're really that incompetent, because Russia's never been particularly good at fighting wars.
Okay, because I can't figure it out. So we'll go to the 1,800 tanks here next. With 1,800 tanks, and I know Biden has said we're shipping some over to Ukraine. As we mentioned on a show a few weeks ago, that's going to take a while. That shit's not going to get there till.
I mean, technically, it would take 5 years.
Yeah,
to give them
get
all
all
the
of them
tanks,
over
yeah.
there, right? So with Russia, and especially their proximity to the Ukraine, why wouldn't 1,800 tanks be enough to just go ahead and level all of it if they wanted to?
I mean, I guess technically it would, but you know, the ghost of Kiev will get them all.
What's
'Cause
Kyiv?
That's definitely a real thing.
It's Kyiv.
That's not. That's nothing. None of this is real.
It doesn't feel like
No.
it. And so when I read these numbers and we go
now,
through it.
Now's a very good time to go watch Wag the Dog. It was a movie that came out in 1997, I believe.
Yeah.
Dennis Leary's in it. Hoffman's in it.
Yeah.
It's good. Go watch it, and you'll see exactly what the fuck's going on right here.
Yeah, because as we pour through these numbers, it just doesn't make any sense how you can't win this war pretty quickly. The next one up here was 3,950 armored vehicles.
Those are armored troop carriers. So each one of those carries, I don't know which ones exactly they're sending, but let's just say conservatively, each one of those holds 8 to 10 dudes and an armored thing. And the purpose of that is to do patrols and to go into hostile environments where you're going to take some small arms fire, and then you get out, fucking go clear buildings and shit like that and take over cities. That's what the purpose of that is.
Okay. Because it seems like a lot, and that would help. And you should be able to advance pretty quickly with something like that. We'll get to the next one.
By the way, Texas is bigger than Ukraine.
Oh, what the fuck, bro?
But Iraq and Ukraine have about the same population, give or take a couple.
Oh, okay. We'll move on to the next number here. 400 fighter jets. To me, if they have 400 fighter jets, couldn't they just go bombs away all goddamn day long and end this in a week?
Yeah, I mean, you got to wonder why. Like, if I'm Russia, I'm killing Zelensky. Like, I'm clipping that dude. That's the first thing that's the only thing I'm even trying to do.
Yes.
Right. If they're actually trying to take over the country, and they've never made any attempts so far as we know, there have been rumors and shit, but nothing. Like we bombed the goddamn Nord Stream too. We would have put out propaganda if there was any evidence we could link to them trying to do that. So it's clear what they're trying to do. They're trying to secure the east side of the country. Like I said, a year ago when the shit started. But even they can't even do that. None of this stuff is going to help. I don't think.
So you brought up something interesting about clipping Zelensky here. He's been on every single fucking talk show meeting, everything, not just in the U.S., around the world. He's the guy right now.
He just did a European tour begging for planes.
Yes. And so I believe he's in, Great Britain yesterday? Or the day before, same thing. He
was with King Charles.
Yeah.
Which is weird because King Charles had some pudding on his fingers and he made him lick it off. Instead of kissing the ring, I think that ring is about to pop off, so it's probably a hazard.
Yeah.
At any moment. He doesn't want to catch shrapnel in his face, so he just licked pudding off his fingers instead. His little sausage swelled up fingers.
Great fingers to lick pudding off of. You can get a lot of pudding
They're not going to show you that on the news, though.
They're not.
I had to watch Alex Jones to find that out.
Yeah, and that was a nice clip that he shared. But with that, even clipping him to stop him going all over the world to millions and millions of people and talking about the plight of Ukraine and the people and how we need money, we all need to join in a fight. Wouldn't that be worth it from Russia's point of view?
Oh, yeah, dude. So if Russia was trying to clip that dude, he'd be dead, in my opinion. Because they have assets all over the fucking world and basically an endless supply of money. Right, not the Russian government or economy, but the fucking oligarchs who actually want this shit to happen. They want that natural gas in the fucking eastern part of Ukraine because they're going to make billions of dollars off of it. This is all about that, right? The oligarchs are manipulating Putin, in my opinion, because he wants to be Peter. He wants to be Peter the Great, right? He wants to be a czar. He wants to bring the Russian Empire back. But they're just a criminal enterprise. All they want to do is fucking get him to take over Crimea, to take over Georgia, get him to take over fucking eastern Ukraine and then possibly northern Ukraine as well, so they can get that natural gas, send it down to Europe, and make billions of dollars. Just about money. It's just about money for Russia. But what is it about for us? Because everything we're doing is stupid.
And that's what I'm having the hardest time figuring out.
We're arming a country that is full of authoritarians and Nazis. And what the fuck is this? Well, this doesn't make any sense.
Well, the other thing that doesn't make any sense to me is, let's say we send all this money over there, we send all these weapons, and then Russia ends up taking over Ukraine.
Oh, yeah, they're going
Wouldn't
to.
our weapons become their weapons then at that point?
Right.
So what's the fucking point? What am I missing here? Like, all of it, to go back to what you said earlier, all of this doesn't seem real because who gets I'm trying to find a winner in all this, and it's really goddamn hard to figure out one other than Russia. So what you said about the billions of dollars in natural gas, what do we get out of this?
Well, what we get is a constant state of conflict as a distraction for domestic issues.
That doesn't help us any.
It doesn't help you and I.
No.
But it helps the American oligarchs quite a bit.
And so you think that's what all of this is?
Yeah. What else
about?
would it be?
I don't know. I have no idea at this point.
It is always about money and power. No matter what anybody says or whatever, however they try to moralize the issue, like, oh, we've got to help Ukraine. Like, okay, do we have to help Venezuela as well? Do we got to deploy there next and send them guns? Like, who all do we need to help before we help our fucking selves? Exactly, right? It doesn't. If you just listen to what these people are saying, they're trying to moralize this in advance because they know where it's going. It's going American troops on the ground in Russia. That's where it's headed. So,
because when I read these numbers here again, I'll read these off one more time. 1,800 tanks, 3,950 armored vehicles, 400 fighter jets, 300 helicopters for this alleged attack. Now, again, this is according to a Ukrainian official. When I read numbers like this, I think to myself, a country like Russia, if they truly had all this, would just be able to take over Ukraine in 7 days, 7 or 8 days.
To be honest, I think one American Special Forces unit or squadron and air support could take over Ukraine in a couple of weeks.
Okay. So let's say it's 2 weeks, right? Is this then a fake report that Ukrainian officials are putting out?
Oh, no.
So you think this is real?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and you know
that's another part I couldn't figure out.
I've read 2 or 3 of these articles now. You can see the satellite images of the forces massing and stuff like that, and they're just estimates, right? Based on, we know we take a picture with a satellite. We know that this much space. It's like the little fucking distance converters on a map or whatever. Like, okay, well, this object, this piece of artillery is this big, so in that amount of space with them stacked all together like that, it's this many of them, right? That's how they come up with these numbers.
All right, because again, once you're looking at all this stuff, like the last question I'll ask you here, and simply because you have experience in this and not me, obviously, is if they were to get all of their shit together and all their leaders together and everything else with all of this fucking artillery and take over Ukraine in 2 weeks, then what happens? Would the U.S. back out of this? Would we stop giving money? Would we try to fight back, or do we enter the war and then try to help Ukraine get their country back? What would the U.S. do at that point if they were actually effective?
I think the first thing that the U.S. would do was induct every neighboring country that wanted to be into NATO, and like Finland and places like that. Places that Scandinavian countries and things like that Russia has warned us not to do. That would be the first thing. Just to escalate against them without actually doing anything kinetic.
Okay.
To try to bait them into attacking a country that is under NATO control. That way they can fucking unload the full force of NATO on Russia. That would be the smartest, I guess, if you want to call it smart thing to do.
Okay. And from, if it happened in under 2 weeks, you're still saying we would go to war, but it would be in 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, because it takes a lot of time for them. I mean, look, does it feel like this war's been going on for a year? 9 days from today is a year anniversary of this war starting.
It does to me.
It doesn't.
It doesn't to you? You think it's flown by? Mm-hmm. To me, it hasn't, because I feel like it just keeps dragging on. So yeah, it definitely feels like a year to me for sure. The other part of it though is I'm surprised Americans. I would be curious to see a poll if Americans really give a shit anymore, because we just had that motherfucker on at Christmas on essentially his own State of a Union address. So yeah, it's super odd to me. I just can't figure any of this out. Forgive me. It's a really weird one. Usually there's an end game or something there that we're fighting for, or we have a long-term vision for something. I just don't know what that is or what we win, other than getting other countries to depend on us. But who really fucking cares?
Well, the way we started fighting the insurgency and or creating the insurgency with the Mujahideen in Afghanistan back in the fucking 70s was not targeted towards necessarily beating the Russians. Really, we were just trying to bleed them, right? Mm-hmm. We wanted that conflict to last as long as possible to cripple the Russian economy. That was our goal, right? It was part of the later détente period, I guess, but the rollback period of the Cold War was about micro wars all over the place to spread Russia's resources, the arms race to spread their resources, even the fucking Star Wars plan for space lasers and all that stupid shit that wasn't even real. We just said it was real so they would spend money on it. All that stuff was basically to get back at them for fucking us over before, right? So, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's that petty. Who knows? There's a lot of people left over in the fucking establishment, in the State Department and the intelligence community who think like that. We're just like, you know what? Fuck Russia. They see Russia, regardless of any of the facts or circumstances surrounding the issue, Russia intrinsically is our enemy. So we have to fight them no matter what. But that's not true, right? Like we may not like them. That doesn't make them our fucking enemy on the global stage. Russia is not a fucking threat to us in any way.
Right.
In any way. The only way they've become a threat to us is because we've allowed them to be a threat by not producing our own energy. That's the only way they got any traction in any of this stuff, is because we fucked up.
Yeah.
And it wasn't us fucking up. The Biden administration made a conscious decision to do this shit. And then they made a conscious decision to support Ukraine and to send billions and billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars over there, and to continue to escalate into this war. Everything has been done intentionally. They're not making mistakes here, is what I'm saying.
Valerie V in the chat had an excellent point here, and I'll go ahead and answer it. She said, I don't think Ross understands that they don't care about the American citizens. I completely understand that. What I can't understand is how we're allowing 300 or so total people in government
Well, it's like 600 probably.
Okay, so let's say it's
Like 538 in Congress.
right. But we have 330 million people in this country. How we're allowing roughly 600 to make these decisions that are horrific for us as citizens of this country.
Yeah, but we're electing people who can't graduate fucking high school.
I understand that, but that's
we're
what I'm
electing
shocked
people
about.
who are like fucking secret cross-dressers. We're electing people who were bartenders 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Like, if you don't take this shit seriously and vote for people who are fucking real leaders, then this is what you get.
Yes. And that's what I'm surprised about. No, I'm not surprised that they don't give a fuck about us. We already know that. We've known that forever. I'm just surprised that we're allowing 600 people to have this type of power to make these type of decisions for us, which are clearly not helping us whatsoever.
No, power is like state power is like Tinkerbell. It only exists if people believe it exists.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's no way for those numbers don't add up. It's very obvious to people that we could do whatever we want and nobody can really stop us. But why is it that people don't do that? Why don't you do it? Why don't you just stop paying your taxes? Because of the penalties, right?
Yes.
But the only way those penalties are enforceable are by collaborators, people who work for the IRS. Those are collaborators to me. Anybody that works for the federal government in that capacity that's fucking preying on regular citizens, that is my enemy, not Russia. Mm-hmm. Right? If somebody's... Even the veiled threat of violence against me because I don't fucking give you 40% of my shit because you feel like you're entitled to it, to me, that is a fucking threat on my life, and you're my goddamn enemy.
And until Russia, in my opinion, shows up on U.S. soil, they're not my fucking problem either. You're right. It's what's going on in government and taxes and everything else. So I'm with you on that one. Next up, we got Operation Resiliency. We just finished a podcast about it. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Yeah, it'll be out on Monday. It was with Clark Pennington. He's the Chief Programs Officer over at Operation Resiliency. You've heard us talk about it before, but this program is part of the Independence Fund. Sarah Verardo, I do work with them. They put on that veteran suicide panel I did in Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and we're going to do a couple of more, one in Austin on the 11th of March, I think, and then some other ones throughout the spring and summer. But the Independence Fund started Operation Resiliency to reconnect people, right? So it's kind of an out of the box solution, but the idea is that, and we've talked, this is the reason why Jared created Drinkin Bros in the first place, because one of the primary reasons that people people get isolated when they come back, nobody understands them, they don't have anybody to talk to about their issues. And then, what I feel is the more important part of that is they lose the purpose. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have, it's not that you need somebody to lean on. It's that you got used to people leaning on you, right? And that made you stronger. And now nobody's leaning on you and you feel weak and purposeless. And that makes you fucking nihilistic and leads to suicide. Now, this program brings units that were hit heavy in combat or by suicide after the fact back together for a 4-day retreat, right? So it's your command element, your first sergeant maybe, your commander, or somebody stepping into that role, and all the people who can come. It's all paid for. It's 4 days, no cost to you, flights, hotel or lodging, food, everything. And there's counselors there, to lead group discussions and shit like that. And then there's, you're going to do like PT in the morning, nothing crazy. It's just like a team building kind of thing, and you talk about where you've been, where you are now, and what you can do for each other. Again, because the sad reality is that nobody's coming to help you, and this is the only opportunity that a lot of people are going to get to actually help themselves. So they're having trouble getting people to participate in this. So that's why we've been doing all these shows. That's why we've been doing these ads. If you were part of a unit, military unit, no matter what branch of service it is, that had some difficulties in combat or lost a lot of people when you got back, go to Operation Resiliency's website, go to independencefund.org and find the website, and you can apply to be part of this program. Oh. That's it.
And when we were talking to Clark, he had said that it is not just 22 veterans a day that are committing suicide. It's actually closer to 25.
It's 25 veterans and then an additional 20 or so active duty or reservists or something like that. So it's like 45 people a day.
Yeah, and for more information, go to independencefund.org on that. Great organization, and they're helping a lot of people out there. Next up, Trump attacks DeSantis again. I hate to see it. Donald Trump, who routinely attacks rivals, even in his own party, reposted images of a young Ron DeSantis allegedly partying with high school teens and adding his own mocking commentary. That's not Ron, is it? He would never do such a thing, he wrote on Truth Social platform. The post linked to a Truth Social account that grabbed a digital image of a young woman with a bowl haircut who appears to be DeSantis.
No, it's a young man.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Because only a woman gets a bowl haircut at that age.
No, Mo, I think, had a bowl haircut.
It's very in right now. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
The bowl haircut is back. And my guess was Velma, but I don't really know. But the bowl haircut is back for men and women right now, and I'm not really sure why. Maybe because of inflation. But in this pic, it's DeSantis surrounded by 3 young women. One of them who has his arm around DeSantis is smiling and appears to be holding a brown glass bottle. To drive home the point, Trump has reposted a message by a user named Dong Chan Lee. No comment there?
I've got nothing to say.
Just Dong Chan Lee. We're just going to leave that alone.
That's a real name, probably.
Dong Chan Lee.
It's part of the Lee family.
Sure. Yeah. Big fan of all the Dong's work. Who wrote, Ron DeSantis was having a drink party with his students when he was a high school teacher. Having drinks with underage girls and cuddling with them certainly looks pretty gross. And don't know that last word there. So
yeah, a term relating to attraction to adolescents. Now, to be clear, and this is from even the press is kind of defending this. DeSantis had just graduated from Yale. He was 22. He was working as a teacher's assistant.
Yep.
The people that were there at the party were 18, and it was 90 years ago, and it was after graduation and shit. Probably not the best idea. I wouldn't do that. It's just, I mean, if you're planning on having a career as a teacher, that's a bad way to start your career.
Sure. 22.
It's just like fraternizing. You don't do that shit.
And look, 22 and 18 is not at least that far off. I mean, we're not talking about DiCaprio's girlfriend or anything.
No, 22 and 18, even if it was, I mean, in most states, even if it was 21 and 17, the same age difference, that wouldn't be illegal because of Romeo and Juliet laws and shit like that.
Right.
So this is not the best idea professionally, but certainly not like criminal or unethical. This is just like Trump being Trump.
It is, right? But me personally, I wish he wouldn't do shit like this.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just run on the policies and how great you were in office and what's going on now, because you were actually president, whereas DeSantis is trying to become a president potentially. He still hasn't announced yet, by the way.
Yeah, we'll see if he does.
I don't know what's going to happen with that, but look, I know politics is politics, and this shit happens all the time on both sides.
Well, Trump does this regardless if you're a fucking Republican or Democrat. Right. He's just he runs scorched earth campaigns.
But I just don't want to see it. And again, with everything that's going on right now, shit isn't great. You don't really have to try that hard. And to dig up a picture from 90 years ago and say X about DeSantis, I fucking hate it. I mean, look, Trump has partied with people all over the world. Obviously, we know the Stormy Daniels story and everything else.
Well, Trump was on Epstein's planes, too.
Yes. So,
can I repost that image and just assume that you're a fucking pedophile now?
Right. And that's where we're going with all of this is like, when you start doing this, you're really putting yourself into murky waters here.
I don't think he's putting himself, like, people expect this kind of shit from Trump. This doesn't damage Trump in any way, I don't think.
I genuinely think on the Republican side, people love both Trump and DeSantis. You don't want to see them go at it like this, especially this early. We are so fucking far away from the election now. I mean, we're what? Fucking you're 19 months away. You're almost 2 years away from the election.
Nobody will even remember this story by then.
So why waste your time with it now? I think what DeSantis is doing is smart in regards to Trump. Because, you
mean by just ignoring him?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Trump is, already announced, and he had the thing in Mar-a-Lago and all this other stuff. And, actually, if you look at it, he announced that he signed the paperwork to potentially run for president. He didn't say he was going to outwardly yet and all that other stuff. But if you're DeSantis, the way he's going about this and his team of just not talking about Trump whatsoever and just avoiding all of it, I think is the smartest decision you could make if you actually want to become president and you know that half your base still loves Trump. I wouldn't attack Trump at all, and I would run off your merits, what you've done for Florida. If I'm DeSantis, what you've done for Florida, how you handled the pandemic down there, the fucking landslide victory as far as being reelected for governor and everything else. I like DeSantis' strategy here. I don't agree with Trump's on this one.
Well, there was one thing that Trump said that DeSantis and his team did push back on, and that was DeSantis' handling of the lockdowns and stuff. And he tried to pretend, Trump just straight up tried to say that that DeSantis was harsh with lockdowns and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, he was the first governor to reopen everything.
Yes. You and I were there for multiple events during the pandemic.
Frankly, I still think he was kind of a bitch for shutting public beaches down in the first place for a week or however long. It was like a week or two.
It was a week, yeah.
That was fucking stupid. And he was weak for doing it. It's pathetic. And I'll never forget it, right? But it's not nearly as bad as what every other governor did.
Right.
Including Trump, who allowed the fucking TSA to make everybody walk around in stupid goddamn masks. And then under his fucking administration is when people weren't allowed to come in and out of the country without fucking vaccinations and shit, right? Am I wrong about that? I don't remember when exactly that happened. I believe it started under Trump, and he's still out there on the stump taking credit for fucking making these vaccines that do not work.
No, it was. Let me ask. It was after he got out. That one I remember at least.
Well, the Congress is trying to repeal that right now. The House passed a bill. I don't think the Senate will pass it, but the House passed a bill to repeal the vaccination requirement for people coming in and out of other countries. Like there are people who are stuck.
Ah, really?
There are people who are stuck in Canada right now. People who are married to Americans, for example, but don't yet have visas and shit. Who refuse to get vaccinated, who can't come see their loved ones, their family in America, because they're not vaccinated.
And so are they going to get rid of that altogether?
It depends. I don't know. I mean, I don't think the Senate will pass that. 201 people, members of the Democratic Party, voted against it. Actually,
okay.
In Congress,
interesting.
Right? So most people, I think 7 Democrats voted to get rid of it.
Okay. So that's staying. That's staying. Next up, ad-wise, we got the old Manscaped. Manscaped.com. Promo code Drinkin' Bros gets you 20% off and free shipping here. Breaking news. Manscaped now sells beard products. That's for you, D'Anthony. That's right. They're once again revolutionizing men's grooming with the brand new Beard Hedger Pro Kit. From a beard trim to a fresh shave, the technology behind the Beard Hedger Pro Kit allows you to shape your signature beard look. And now you can finally use Manscaped products to make your drapes match the carpets by going to manscaped.com. and using the promo code Drinkin' Bros for 20% off and free shipping. It's time to tame your mane. No one likes a weird beard. So say goodbye to all your stubble trouble with Manscaped's Pro Beard Kits. It starts with a beard hedger. This thing's a juggernaut at fixing faces. First off, this cordless trimmer has a rotary wheel. That's interesting. That gives you 20 hair cutting lengths, all with one guard. So no more messy drawers full of extra add-ons. That's right. Face grooming doesn't need to be hard. Get 20 different beard lengths in just one guard. Plus, it's waterproof.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm hard.
Yeah, you are.
So
Sure are.
go ahead and jot that down.
Both mentally and physically.
Yeah, as fuck too.
Yeah, sure are. You sure are. The Pro Kit doesn't end there, friends. They've created 4 dermatologist-tested formulations for the post-trim care as well. So you got the beard shampoo, you got the conditioner, you got beard oil, you got the beard balm, which is like a pomade that kind of shapes your beard and all that stuff. I used to shape this mustache today. Damn, this dick broom is nice, isn't it? So they got all the things there now. It's finally open. We asked about this when we first started working with these guys a few years ago. We're like, dude, what's stopping you from getting into beards? And they were like, I don't know. We're a new company.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? They're not so new anymore. And they're in the beard game. It's just as great as their fucking pube trimmer. I can tell you that. You might as well get it all from the same place and get the discounts. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code Drinkin Bros at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the promo code Drinkin Bros at Manscaped for the beard hedger. 1 stroke, 1 guard, 20 lengths. Next up, D'Anthony, we've got Tyree Nichols. Man, you called it. You said this killing was personal. Mm-hmm. What are they saying now to back this up?
So, that was the theory is that, look, there are a lot of conspiracy theories about he was fucking one of their wives or girlfriends or some bullshit. I don't know about any of that. But Memphis police chief sent a request to Tennessee peace officers standards and training, so POST, which is they provide the training, POST A and B, for police officers to decertify all 5 of the former officers charged in the death of Tyree Nichols. Now, in that decertification request, newly acquired documents detail the policy violations that warrant this request, including excessive force, obviously, deceit is one, and then one instance of an officer taking pictures of Nichols on the ground with his personal cell phone and sending them to several others while on duty. He sent them to 2 other cops and then 3 other people as yet to be identified. Now, one of the rumors was that he sent it to the woman who was fucking Tyree Nichols. Unconfirmed, right? But it would make sense. So the police chief, Davis, requested to change the status for all 5 of these assholes. I won't say their names because they're fucking pieces of shit. They've all been charged with second-degree murder. Now, the decertification process involves the revocation of the certificate or license. It's like an administrative license for the state. So that means they can't go to another police department in Tennessee and get a job, which happens a lot with guys who get fired for violent stuff like this. Again, there's a bunch of theories about what exactly happened here, but the fact that one of the officers sent the picture of his body to multiple people, including other officers, and 3 other people as yet to be determined. I don't know who they are.
Okay.
Seems to support the idea that this was a personal hit and not, white supremacy like the fucking media tried to tell you.
Right.
My gut is because he sent it to 2 other officers and some civilians, it seems to me like there was some kind of fucking corruption going on. They're dealing drugs or they're doing something. They're taking bribes. Somebody gets caught or whatever, and they beat this guy to death.
Okay.
And if that is the case, well, and we'll find out soon because this is going to trial and they're going to continue filing for discovery. If that is the case, the charge needs to be changed from first-degree murder or from second-degree murder to first-degree murder because they premeditated shit. Whether they intended to kill him or not, they premeditated the attack that led to his death. It needs to be changed to first-degree murder. These guys need to fucking fry.
Chris Beerworth in the chat says, have they leaked Tyree Nichols' bio yet? I don't know anything about him, actually.
His bio?
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. Like his arrest record and shit? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I guess. I'm not really sure. I know when, most of these instances happen, they'll typically show you the videos they want or the pictures they want of as kids or with Tyree Nichols in particular. I know hours before they dropped the body cam footage, they had released a skateboarding tribute video. I guess he was a skateboarder or something like that.
Sweet.
But I don't know the rest of his bio or anything else regarding this guy.
Yeah, I don't know about his arrest record and shit like that. But it seems like the cops involved were probably dirty. That's my gut feeling. That's what I've been saying since the beginning of this. And
yes.
Every new piece of evidence that comes out seems to support that theory.
Okay. Yeah, you called this a long time ago. I'll be curious to see how this one shakes out. And then one quick note regarding this case. They did finally find the white hand in that video who tased him when he tried to take off. Well, when he did take off running, Tyree Nichols, and they've fired that white officer as well because God forbid he didn't get who the actual guy who's doing his job.
Yeah, you got to get the one white dude for sure.
Right, but when somebody takes off, it's the first thing you do is say, "Hey, I'm going to tase you," and then you tase them.
Maybe I don't know.
Really
it depends. Is he armed? Like, what am I trying to do there? Is he an obvious threat to the public? You don't just automatically go to a taser just because a guy's running away from you. Like, to be honest, if I'm not doing anything illegal and a cop tries to fuck with me and he's being a dick about it and it seems like they're getting ready to gang up on me, I might take off too. Like, why the fuck should I be required to stand there and deal with an agent of the state when I'm minding my own fucking business? You know what I mean? Fuck those guys.
So this will go back to something else that was brought up regarding a personal attack, which you thought it was the chief of police was on multiple news outlets the morning before this body cam footage was going to be released, and she said they don't know if there was a proper cause to even pull this guy over, which would even further support
reasonably
your theory.
articulated suspicion, I think, is the phrase they use. So probable cause, PC, but like you have to, when you go write the paperwork up, you have to be able to say, I suspected him of this crime specifically, so we detained him, not arrested. We detained him, and then once you're, that's why people ask. If you do get in a confrontation like that, you should say, "Am I being detained?" If they say no, turn around and walk the fuck away immediately. Don't say another word to them, right? But if they say you're detained, now you can be charged with a crime if you leave. You're resisting arrest, right?
Yeah.
So it's different, which I think is that's bullshit to me. That is unconstitutional. I shouldn't have to stand there and listen to some fuckface talk to me if I don't want to.
Curious to see how this one all shakes out here. Next up, watch out for Catholics.
This one's about Bob and fucking Delco.
He's not here.
Yeah, but
Delco's going to stand up for him. And he's going to take.
Well, Delco's a Catholic too.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
You mean stand up for Catholics?
Yes, he's going to be our Catholicism expert here.
Well, that might not work out.
And he's going to stand up for Bob, who's not here today. Okay, he'll be back next week. We think. The FBI's Richmond field office released an internal memo last month warning against radical traditionalist Catholic ideology. That's you, Delco. That's you and Bob.
I would love to see, and it also says it, quote, almost certainly presents new mitigation opportunities. What exactly is a radical traditionalist Catholic ideology? Can you define that for me?
You get to touch the boy.
Is it? No, it has nothing to do with that. This is about domestic terrorism.
Well, that's the same way. If you get touched in your private parts, it's domestic.
Do they think the IRA is operating in fucking the northeast of the country or something?
Yeah, I mean we are, but
no.
Okay.
No.
Do you listen to U2 a lot?
No, we hate U2.
Oh, you do hate U2. Okay, because you're on the other side. Gotcha.
So you know what this is? This is the same thing as trying to classify parents showing up to fucking school board meetings as domestic terrorists.
Yeah.
So a former agent, Kyle Seraphin, who was a special agent for the Bureau for 6 years, before being indefinitely suspended without pay in June of last year, I don't know why yet, published a document, quote, interest of racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists and radical traditionalist Catholic ideology almost certainly presents new mitigation opportunities. What the fuck, man? Why do they keep, it's like, let's pick some traditional white group, parents that go to school board meetings, or Irish Catholics, or this group, or that, or fucking police, and call them white supremacists, and then write a fucking memo from the fucking FBI talking about how they're fucking domestic terrorists. You know what? This is battlefield preparation, is what's happening. They're trying to fucking weave a narrative into the fucking public discourse that suggests that whiteness is bad and domestically terroristic by its very nature. That's what this is trying to do. So when fucking conflict does break out, they're like, see, we fucking told you. Yeah. They'll fucking come poke these people until finally they say, hey, get the fuck off of me. And like, look, he's violent. I told you.
Yeah.
That's exactly what the fuck is happening here.
It seems like we're intentionally stoking a race war.
And I don't give a fuck about Catholics or white people. I've said that forever.
Yeah, Dan's always been against
I don't
white
give
people.
a fuck about religious people at all. I mean, it's not that I fucking hate them. I just don't care.
He doesn't care. Yeah, and I want to make that clear for the audience, because I've heard that a couple of times. We're like, why does Dan go after religion? It's not that Dan's ever going after religion. He just doesn't care what you believe in. And there's no reason to push it on everybody else. Like, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Dan just wants to be left the fuck alone.
Well, I'm going to treat everybody.
He doesn't really care about your beliefs.
I'm going to treat everybody equally. If you say some dumb shit, whether it's a closely held personal belief or not, I'm going to tell you it's dumb.
Yes.
Anyways.
So that's simple.
Another quote from this report. In making this assessment, FBI Richmond relied on the key assumption that, quote, that racially or ethnically motivated extremists will continue to find radical, traditionalist, Catholic, or RTC, right? Mm-hmm. That's the new DVE, the domestic violent extremists.
What does RTC stand for?
It stands for radical traditional Catholic extremists or
Oh,
radical
we were going to
Catholics.
just shorten it. We're going
Yeah.
to give them a fun little acronym.
Yeah, so it's RTC now. That's what Delco
That's
is.
what Delco is. You fucking RTC.
They're ideologically attractive and will continue to attempt to connect with RTC adherents, both virtually via social media and in person at places of worship. Because look, I can't stop seeing all these reports of Catholic priests trying to get people to do terrorism.
Yeah.
It's every fucking day now.
Yeah.
How they're preaching hate against black people and Asians and shit. Shut the fuck up, man. And the fact that they're using the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, which I think referred to Black Rifle as goddamn racist.
They did, yeah.
Right? Just for fun. Why not, dude?
Yeah.
Hey, man, somebody wore one of their fucking pieces of clothing at an event I don't like. Racist.
Yeah.
Domestic terrorists. They're using the FBI, a fucking state agency, an agency of the state, is using a fucking partisan piece of shit organization to justify policy. Are you fucking kidding me? This is why the federal government should not exist.
It's going to get worse. You know that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to get worse for some people, not for me.
Yeah. I mean, look, we'll be here to talk you through it. Delco, you're against you too?
Oh yeah.
Early morning, April 4.
I'm for.
No, they forced their music on us with
Yeah.
that one
Oh,
album.
they did. Okay.
They raped your ears.
Yeah.
Hey,
I didn't
dude,
ask for that.
I got to know. So, Sinead O'Connor, where are we at on her?
Yeah.
Good, bad, indifferent?
Indifferent.
She was Irish too. I just want to know what type of music Dan and I have to blare in the office every day
To make
when
you kill
Bob
yourself,
comes back. Yeah, because you're a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? And,
Probably.
we don't support any RTCs in the office.
I mean, if you just play Bruce, I'll probably blow my brains out.
I'm the same.
Springsteen?
Oh, man, I'm a fucking working man. Shut the fuck up.
Just
you
because my
bitch.
parents always played it when I had to do chores. So
Bruce Springsteen when you did chores.
yeah.
I mean, I guess that would get you going. You know, hey, you won't be a little working man.
Come on down to the Heartland, son, and do your chores.
Go on down the laundry room, fold up every piece of clothing you have. Tell your sister you love her. Working man.
Jonathan, not only am I on a list somewhere as a domestic terrorist, but the Pentagon records every word I say. This entire show, every word I say, and it will be printed out on a piece of paper and read by people at the Pentagon. I know that for a fact.
Absolutely true, yeah. Every single episode.
You know, what are you going to do, man? Hey, look, that's extra listeners. Hopefully they're buying ghost beds and shit. Maybe they'll buy the merch too. Defund Ukraine. You think there's a lot of defund Ukraine shirts walking around the fucking Pentagon right now?
I hope they're wearing this Drinkin' Bros Olive Garden shirt I'm wearing from drinkinbros.com. We should put these hats up there. Everybody keeps asking.
Yeah.
We did it for the golf tournament. We've got some other meetings and stuff, but I love the hats. So I'm like, yeah, man, let's put the Hard AF
polos,
hats up on the
too.
site.
I
What's that?
want.
The polos too.
Oh, the polos are dope as fuck, dude. I'm amped about those.
They are nice. They fit real nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna wear
Yeah.
that to the tournament. Probably.
Yeah, it's
Same. I'm going to wear that on Saturday.
easily ignored. Says kind of makes me an author. I really wish they would send me the printouts. That would make writing this book a lot easier.
Oh, yeah. If somebody
I can
transcribed it.
I can
it'd
just
be great.
copy and paste.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna have to pay some fucking Indonesian kid to do it.
Chat GBT it, dude.
No,
Just
Chad, he keeps like it's adding bro in there a lot.
Chad does?
Yeah. It's like, come on, man, I'm not into this.
That's
so.
the version we're working on is Chad GBT, where it's just bro.
Ooh,
Everything.
that's a good idea. Hard AF holy water. That's
Oh, shit.
that's a decent idea.
We can sell that to the RTCs, dude.
No, I mean it's like one of the flavors.
Oh.
It's holy water.
I thought we could cleanse like a baby with it, you know?
No, they have that little spoon and they just whoop, whoop. Or they were using squirt guns for a while during COVID.
we can baptize a baby.
I'll baptize everybody.
coconut.
I'll baptize everybody in this fucking room right
Yeah,
now.
dude.
Pina colada.
Yeah, let's
yeah.
do it. Let's do it. Speaking of squirting, AdamandEve.com, it's got a special offer for our listeners here. It's 50% off and free shipping for the upcoming Valentine's Day holiday. And obviously that promo code is Drinkin' Bros for 50% off and free shipping at AdamandEve.com. If you've never been to AdamandEve.com, well, let me tell you about it. It's a fun, sexy little website where you can get vibrators, dildos, butt plugs, sex dolls, oils, lubes, chest protectors. In case you are allergic to cum or semen, you can get a chest protector there.
What would you do with a chest protector exactly?
Put it on your chest.
You mean like for baseball, like a catcher?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
That way it doesn't hit your skin, you know? I don't know if that's true, by the way.
Well,
You're going to have to look through their whole
They
site.
have those electric dongs that's on like a fucking rail, right? That does this shit back
Yeah.
and forth. So
Yeah.
maybe you wear it if you're the fucking if you're the equipment manager,
Maybe.
so you don't get lit the fuck up when you're crossing paths.
Every time we do these Adam and Eve reads, they go off the fucking rails. Somebody yesterday sent me a DM and asked me to describe the anal beads like pulling a lawnmower cord. Yep, and just ripping that out as fast as you can. Wouldn't recommend that.
Yeah, don't do that.
They do sell anal beads on the site.
You're gonna prolapse your butthole if you do that.
You sure
so
are.
Don't do that.
So don't do that. But if you are looking to do some butt stuff over Valentine's Day, might as well use the promo code Drinkin Bros to get 50% off and free shipping. Now choose wisely. You only get one item with this because that's a big savings. 50% half off and free shipping. It's a big savings. So choose wisely and then choose with your lover, man or woman. Again, we don't care. We don't kink shame. Sit down with a computer and just kind of have some funsies and then look at what you're going to do for Valentine's Day coming up next week. Because they ship pretty quickly and it'll go right to your house. Free shipping and 50% off one item at adamandeve.com. Some say they're the best in the biz when it comes to sex toys. A lot of people say that.
They definitely got the best values.
Sure do.
And the coolest name too.
Oh, yeah.
Notice it doesn't say Adam and Steve, folks.
Sure doesn't.
Now you can put if you're a dude, put whatever they give you in your butt too.
Yeah, stuff that right in your butt.
We don't kink shame. Do whatever you want.
Where did Giorgio go?
Yeah.
Great. Well,
Somebody's knocking at the door.
Yeah,
Keep
you're
on
gonna
knocking,
have
but
to,
you can't come in.
Put the single on me and then go answer the door real quick. We are expecting booze to arrive here shortly, so maybe it's that. Next up here, James O'Keefe has been suspended at Project Veritas. James O'Keefe, the founder and chairman of Project Veritas, has taken a paid leave from the conservative nonprofit media organization as its board considers whether to remove him from his leadership position, according to current and former employees of the organization. An internal message sent to Project Veritas employees by the organization's executive director, Daniel Strack, which is a fun name, said that O'Keefe would be taking a few weeks of well-deserved PTO. That's nice, isn't it?
Good for him.
What's the real sitch behind this?
Well, so
We saw the Pfizer video, right?
Yeah.
Anything related to that?
Multiple Pfizer videos,
Yes.
right? So through a spokesperson, he said Strack, whatever the fuck his position is, he says, like all newsrooms at this stage, the PV board of directors and management are constantly evaluating what is best path forward for the organization, blah, blah, blah. Didn't directly address any questions about O'Keefe's employment status, but he did say there are 65 plus employees at PV dedicated to continuing the mission to expose blah, 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 blah. Now, here's the real story. 2 board members were fired by James O'Keefe last week.
Okay.
Right? And then they rallied several other board members to rehire them and then fucking put him on indefinite suspension. That's what really happened.
Gotcha.
And that is, look, it's all fucking cute and clever and all this stupid bullshit. But a couple of people that are friends of James on Twitter, like, had the inside info from an unnamed source. It's just James telling them what happened. So who knows how accurate what is or what isn't.
Okay.
But the real story, according to all of these people, is that the board conducted a hostile takeover. Now, there's 2 organizations. There's a 501c3 and a 501c4. One of them has more power. One of them has more money, right? So there's some kind of internal struggle going on. It's a good reminder that if you're in a startup, it's really important how you fucking organize your fucking company.
Yeah.
Right? To protect yourself, especially when you start taking money from people, capital investments and shit, and giving up board seats. But
nobody ever thinks about that, right?
Yeah.
And we had somebody from Project Veritas on, and they were talking about how many people actually work there. It's fucking huge.
Yeah,
dude.
it's quite large. Yeah. So, unclear how this will play out or who's right or wrong, because I know from secondhand experience from multiple people that he's a very difficult person to work with, and there's some issues with him personality wise, big ones.
Yeah.
But
it's not shocking.
It's still his company.
Yes.
And he is like, if the board thinks that they're going to continue Project Veritas without him there, that's nonsense, right? Like that's like getting rid of fucking Ronald goddamn McDonald. That shit ain't happening. That company will be out of business in fucking 2 weeks.
It doesn't make sense. The entire thing was built off of him, his personality and his videos. And, for me personally, if you lined up, 50 employees of Project Veritas in this room, the only person I would probably be able to identify is James O'Keefe from that organization.
There's one tall black kid that's really funny that harasses elected officials all the time. Not even really in a rude way. He just says, "Oh hey," he did it at AOC. He was like, "Oh hey, I love your work. Can I get a picture?" And he's starting to take his selfie. He goes, "Yeah, I'm with Project Veritas," and he takes the picture right when her face starts to change. Very slick and funny. I think he may have been arrested recently for some bullshit. But anyways, there's a meeting. PV's having a board meeting tomorrow, Friday, when his potential removal entirely from the company is to be discussed, according to one source familiar with the matter. So we'll see what happens this weekend, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's
looking forward to that. But
yeah.
if he's out, you can kiss that company goodbye, in my opinion.
If they decide to fire him Friday or even limit his power in the company and he says something about it publicly, people will immediately remove all of their support, both financial and social, from Project Veritas, as they should.
And from what we've heard, there's a shit ton of employees and a bunch of jobs on the line.
There's 70 employees
very,
there.
very dumb, in my opinion.
There's not including the board and shit. There's 70 people there.
I know. Now's the point of the show. We get to the Drinkin' Bro of the Week. You can submit your Drinkin' Bro of the Week by going to drinkinbros.com, click on the submission form in the top right, and it gets emailed to us live on air here, depending upon whenever we go on, and we'll read it. While you're there, peruse the rest of the website and check out the Drinkin' Bros store. You can get all this merch that we're wearing here today, and that supports us. That goes to no one but us, and we're definitely taking all that money, to keep us on the air and all.
And we're going to spend it on drugs.
Well, speaking of drugs, we need some.
Yeah.
This one was submitted by Chris Noseworthy from Arizona, Drinkin' Bros listener for 6 years, and he's nominating Brian Haney. Reason for the nomination: Brian tragically passed away on February 9th, 2023. So that was this morning, actually. That's how live this is. Driving home from his shift with Orange County Sheriff's Department. Brian was a solid dude, a good partner, a good friend, and a newly excited dad. Brian had his first child a month ago and recently returned to work for his first shift back. Unfortunately, night shift can be tolling, and Brian was involved in a single vehicle collision on his way home to see his wife and child, and he ultimately passed away this morning. Brian is being nominated to be Drinkin' Bro of the Week because he was a guy that was willing to go to war with his partners every single day at work and ensure they got home safe. Rest in peace. Cheers. Cheers. Cheers to you. And I actually read about this one this morning. That's how live this is. If you click that submission form, it'll get here that quickly. And if we are on air, again, we will always read these live. So you can go to drinkinbros.com for your Drinkin' Bro submission of the week. Thanks for joining us. Head on over to iTunes, rate the show a 5-star, and leave a quick review. Also, head on over to Spotify. It's just a 5-star, no review. And then you can just walk away at that point. Nothing further to do. Flip on over to Drinkin' Bros Sports on the old YouTube. That's free. Got a ton of shows over there that are coming up. Guests all week. Predictions, golf shows are up. And we will be live at the Phoenix Open in person there. Not a show. You can just come up and meet us. And we'll be on 17, then kind of walking around throughout the day. You'll see us in Hard AF Seltzer gear and Drinkin' Bros merch and all that other stuff. And we'd love to party with you on Saturday. Not that expensive to get in. And let's face it, it's an all goddamn day party. So yeah, we'll be live in the flesh on Friday or Saturday. So come and join us. For D'Anthony Holloway, I'm Ross Patterson. This is Drinkin' Bros Fake News. Good night, everyone.